My name is River. I'm the graduate assistant at the ADP Center. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about blogging, specifically during a pandemic. So this is the agenda. Today, we'll first start talking about blogs, just kind of basic information about that. Then we'll break it up into Google Docs, Slides, and Drive, and how that can be used to towards Google Sites. So let's get started. So what is a blog? A blog is a regularly updated website, typically one run by an individual or a small group, and it's typically written in an informal or conversational style. How can I use a blog? So for your students, if you want, so you can use it for, if you want to divide it up into two different uses. So first, you can use it for your classes, for your students, or you can use it for your own personal professional development. So if you wanted to gear it towards your students, you can put some assignments up there, videos, other resources that you think might be helpful. You can kind of keep them up to date on class events, put up like schedules or any kind of calendar or anything. And then if you want to include like some videos, you can post some tutorials or just any other kind of information that you want to put up. For your own professional use, you can use it to share tips, tricks, and resources for other educators. And you can kind of like create a brand for yourself. So, you know, there's a bunch of other educators that have blogs out there, which I'll show an example a little bit later on, but it's cool because, you know, it can be used like as a way to network with other people and other educators and professors and stuff, or other high school teachers. And you can also link it to social media to kind of like get yourself out there and just meet other people who are also kind of have similar interests. Or you could use it for both. So you can use it for your class, or you can also like have a different tab and use it kind of as like an about me or link like some of your work, things that you're writing about, some of your interests, so on and so forth. So you can, it's pretty flexible. And you can be very creative with it. So just some tips. First, you would choose your audience. So in this case, your audience could either be your class and the parents, or it could be other educators, or both. Next, you would choose your niche or your focus. So in your case, it would be English. So you can really, you can gear it however you want to do. Like if you want to, for instance, have your assignments up, but then also want to include the book that you guys are reading. So for instance, you're reading The Great Gatsby, you can create a page about The Great Gatsby and like your own personal take on it. Just an example. Next, you can research similar blogs for inspiration. So kind of just pulling ideas from other places and seeing what you like, what you don't like from other people. Come up with a theme or style and add your own creative spin, kind of make it your own. Focus on your content, and then link it to social media. So I'm going to talk about Google Drive. What you would need is a Montclair Google account or any kind of Google account. And then just a disclaimer, Montclair Google accounts expire upon graduation or upon like disaffiliation. So if you stop working at Montclair, you know, or wherever, if you're a part of Montclair, then it's you don't really own that information. It belongs to the school, and then once that account is terminated, then you don't have access to it anymore. So it's just something to keep in mind. So where you'll find most of the Google Suite, it's going to be, if you're in Gmail, it's going to be these 9 little dots. Even if I think you're on just Google itself, it kind of gives you these options. So wherever you see this, this is kind of like the access to everything. So yeah, so you just click on the drive, or if you want to work on a document, docs, slides, sites, so on and so forth. So recording, sharing. If you wanted to work with other people, this is more geared towards students, I would say, but if you're collaborating with another teacher on something and you're working on a Google document, you can kind of insert comments and give feedback to each other. And that way, like, it will just be saved automatically. And then kind of just make comments and then reply to each other, and then you can eventually resolve it. So it's a good way to collaborate with others. And then if you want to share the link for others to edit and view it, if they're part of the Montclair Google community, you can do that. So if you are working based off of Montclair email, you can only share and only view other Montclair emails. But if you're working off of your personal email, then you can, obviously you have more options. Like you don't have to, you're not just contained to the Montclair Google community. And then you can also, there's options like if you want them just to view, comment, or edit, you can select that here. So Google Drive. So what Google Drive basically has is you can have like all of your Google Docs and your slides and whatever you're working on, it kind of is just like a storage. So every student at Montclair has access to this. Also, if you have a personal email, you have access to it on your personal email. But pretty much it just allows users to store files or share folders and edit them and just kind of contain them all in one space. And you can also collaborate. So everyone at Montclair has unlimited storage, but on your personal email, it is kind of limited. I don't know exactly what the number is, but with Montclair, you can just have as much as you want. So you don't have to worry about, if there's enough space. However, again, keeping in mind that it will expire at one point. So that's that. So Google Sites. Google Sites is basically, it allows you to create your own website without having to know how to code it yourself. So if you were to use any other kind of resource or like any other platform to create a site, it can be pretty tricky. And for me, for example, I don't really have extensive coding knowledge and all that kind of stuff. So Google Sites really breaks it down and makes it super simple. You don't need any IT help, and it's super easy to collaborate with. And it's almost like editing a document. So if you know how to use Google Slides or Google Documents, it's almost not identical, but a lot of the features are very similar on the sites as well. And it's super easy to follow. So regarding a plan of action, so sometimes it's like hard because you don't know where to begin. So what I suggest is to kind of gather and organize your information. So kind of collect all your content, organize it in a way that like makes sense to you, and then just input it into the site. So if students are working on a project, for example, I would suggest for them to allow like group members, if they're in a group, to have access to it, and then create a sitemap to divide content creation. And I'm going to show an example of a sitemap in a second. Then kind of establish a deadline for a draft on a separate platform like Google Docs. And then once everyone kind of works on their individual part, they can start adding the content to the sites and then preview. And then of course, if you need any help, we're always here available for you at the ADP Center, and you can always make an appointment. So sitemap. This is what a sitemap looks like. So it's kind of just breaking up like how you want to organize and present your information on your website. So for instance, there's a homepage. From the homepage, you'll have access to the about, products, features, contacts, so on and so forth. And then within the products, there's a subpage, and these are all the products. And that kind of just helps you to visually organize what you want to go where and what it will look like. Rightmaps is a free tool that will help you create a sitemap. So you just go to rightmaps.com, and it's a really good resource to kind of start the organization process. So how can I create a Google site? Essentially, you can create a blank site, or you can create a new one based off of like a template. So for instance, a student portfolio, or if you have a class and you want to gear it towards your class, you can select that one. If you want to do like your own personal portfolio, etc. And basically you would just access it through those little dots up at the corner, the top right. it will give you a selection to click on sites, and then this page would pop up for you. So just like Google Docs and Google Slides, you can share Google Sites. Again, disclaimer, it can only be shared and accessed with MSU Google accounts if you are using your MSU Google account. So if I created it from my Google account, from the email that Montclair had provided to me, I wouldn't be able to have someone with their personal email access that account. They wouldn't be able to see it because it's restricted. Only people from Montclair can see this. Again, you can lose access upon graduation, so maybe it might be, or disaffiliation, so it might be best to use it from your personal account if you plan on actually using this. Even say, one day you Montclair and you part ways, you can continue to use it from your personal account. So this is just a sample that I had created. It's very simple. So as you can see, it's pretty basic. If you were to start a website on a different platform, it can be pretty daunting. Personally, I really would not even know where to begin, but this one is literally, it almost looks like you're editing a document. There's not much creative freedom, but it's very basic and it's easy just to if you want something simple. So each Google site is divided into, I would say 3 parts. So you have the header, which stays the same on each page that you create, and the pages can be found up here. They can also be found from the Pages tab, which I'll go over in a little bit more detail in a little bit. Then there is the body, and these sections can be managed from here on the side. You can change the background, you can duplicate a section, and then you can just delete the section like that. And then there's also a footer, which also stays the same on each page that you create. So pages are found up here on this particular site. However, there are different options where I think on this actually it's just 2 options, and you can do it up at the top or to the left side of the screen. And I believe you can find that from the navigation settings. And then, here, mode, top or side. So if I hit the side, all of these options here would be pulled to the left side. So then there is this menu on the right side over here. So there's insert, pages, and themes. We go to themes. You can select which theme you want, what color you want, what font you want, just like you would with a Google slide. It's super simple. Then if we go to insert, this is pretty much what, if you want to insert a picture or a button or a video, this is where you would come. It's just a big menu of different things that you can input onto your page. They've made it pretty simple. The things that you would use the most frequently would be text box, obviously, just add words, images, to add pictures. If you want to embed and link it into a URL or even link it into a different page within your Google site, which I'll go over in a bit, you can use that up here. And then also if you want to pull a document from your drive, again, it could be a presentation, it could be a Google Doc, it could be a spreadsheet, it could be anything. And then, so this can be found on the insert, but also if you were to double tap anywhere on your page, so for instance, over here, the same thing will come up. So it's kind of like a shortcut. Also, if you want to change the layout, it gives you an option to select from this. So my layout, I believe I think it was this one, but I wanted one picture, so I just deleted the other picture. So you would delete it just by clicking on it and pressing the trash can. So that's the layout. And you can do this for each page too. It will give you the option to lay it out the way that you want to. So first, actually, I'll go over the pages as well. So next is the pages. Again, whatever you see over here is it's identical to here. and it's kind of used as an outline. So for instance, if I wanted to create a subpage to the blog, or sorry, subpage to the assignments, and I want to move blog into the assignments, all you have to do is click it, click the 3 buttons here, and then you can make it, hold on, wait, I'm sorry. I think you can, oh yeah, there you go. You can drag it, or if we want to make this have a subpage, you can click the 3 buttons here, add subpage. Let's name the subpage, and just like that. And then if you look at the top, when you hover over blog, it gives you the subpage, just like an outlet underneath it. So, and then also if you want to like hide a certain subpage, you can do that. Say for instance, you want it to just be accessible from your home page, but you don't want it to actually show up here. You can click on those dots, press hide from navigation, and then you won't see it up here. There's a lot of flexibility. I'm going to delete this one actually. We don't need it. So let's start with, I want to go over hyperlinking. So hyperlinking is super useful. I would say there's 2 different kinds of hyperlinks with Google Sites. The first one would be if you want to hyperlink a page to a different subpage. So for instance, I hyperlinked the word here. Feel free to contact me here, and then it links to the contact page. So when I click on it, I press it, and it brings me to the contact page, if it ever loads. There you go. So it would just take me there. The next would be hyperlinking externally. So for instance, let's see. If I want this to go to, let's say, my Instagram, or let's say I just wanted it, I want to hyperlink it to go to Google, for instance. So we're going to edit the link. So here, actually, I will show you from the beginning. So let's say, feel free to contact me here. So the way you would hyperlink it externally would be you highlight it, and then this over here, it gives you the option to insert a link right here, this little paper clip. So if you wanted to bring you to the contact page, you would press one of these within this site. However, I don't want it to go there. I want it to go to www.google.com, press apply, and then it will take me directly to Google. It's very simple. Okay. Next is photographs. So if you want to insert a picture, basically you can insert an image. So for instance, let's say we want to do a new image. You can pull there, it gives you so many different options. So you can either pull it from your actual drive. You can, if you have a URL of an actual image that you want to use, you would just copy and paste the URL of it. Or you can do a literal Google image search, which is pretty cool. So for instance, if I wanted a picture of a cat, I can pick one from here, like this whole selection, just like you would on google.com. Or you can upload from your actual files. And yeah, so you can also pull from your own computer. Next, okay, so from this menu, from insert, they have all these different options. So first we'll go over the collapsible text. So this is an example of collapsible text. So it gives you the option when you input basically any kind of text box, you would just highlight it and select heading. It has to be a heading for it to give you the option to be collapsible. And then you would basically just hit this to create it, to make it collapsible. And then underneath it, you would just input different pages. So for instance, let's say Google. And then it adds that to the list. And then if you want to hyperlink it, again, you can just insert the link that way. Next is, so sorry, let's go back. Okay, so next would be table of contents. So I input a table of contents right here. And oh, also, if you want to move something, you can move it this way. You just drag it. So the way that the table of contents works is, again, you have to make, so you would create a text box. You make it a heading, and that will just kind of list it up here. So my headings were, what are we learning this week? School supplies list, videos. And then it just kind of organizes it all up here. So I had just created this as an example. Next is an image carousel. So here you can't really see it. I will show you the published version of the site, but you can't flip through it while you're editing. However, if you want to edit your image carousel, you just double click and then you can edit it this way. So for example, I put up pictures of like paint, folders, glue, and then colored pencils. And then I had added a caption to it, and this caption was paint. On this one, I had said folders, so on and so forth. And then if you want to add an image to it, you can select it from your own, like your own folders, or you can upload it. Sorry, other way around. You can upload it from your own folders, or you can select an image from what Google provides to you. So it just goes back to what I had just mentioned. And then again, once it's published, you can just kind of click the arrow and then it would flip through each slide. If you want to add a button, so for instance, buy supplies here, all you would do is press this button, name the button, and then add the link that you want the button to go to. So I had the button linked to Amazon, and maybe you can create like an Amazon list of all the supplies that you want your class to have. Pretty simple. Next is, so I wanted to put a video there. So essentially all you would do is go to the section, press YouTube, do dogs this time, search it, and then you would just select it and then it would input it. Select. So for instance, if you had a video that you had created on your YouTube channel, you can just pull it from there and have your students have access to that. So next, we'll go to the blog page. So this is, I divided it just as an example, home assignments, but then if you wanted your own personal blog where you write about things. So for instance, you're reading about Great Gatsby and then you want to write like, or maybe you had written a paper about your opinion on it or something. You can list that there. Really, you can make it your own and just be creative with it and make it, add the topics that you want to talk about, the issues that you want to talk about, even if it's more serious about like your opinions on, I don't know, something about the school system. I mean, I don't know if that would be a good idea, but whatever you want to talk about, you can essentially talk about it. If we look over here, there's an option that says placeholder. So this is an example of a placeholder. You can add anything like a picture, a calendar, a YouTube video, a map, or even pull from your own Google Drive. So for instance, I wanted to add my resume there. So if you wanted to add your resume, all you would have to do is go to the placeholder, and then you can select from your drive. You can select a picture, YouTube, calendar. You can do anything that you want. This is what a calendar looks like. So let's see, settings. And then you can select like what you want to show, what you don't want to show, time zones, dates, etc. Okay. And you can even put like a presentation in there too, a form, Excel sheet, chart, whatever you want. So it's pretty handy. Here I put the map of Montclair. I think I went over everything. Oh, and then if you wanted to include a divider, you can just click the divider and then drag it. This only has one section, so I'm not sure if I can really move this one, but if we added another section, duplicate this, and then we can drag it so that the divider breaks up both of them. That's how it would look. Okay. And then if we were to preview this site, so you would have to publish it basically. So we can preview it by clicking this button, and it'll show you what the site looks like. If we want to actually publish it, you would hit the publish button, review what it looks like in the draft, and then it'll show you like what you changed versus what it used to look like, or what it currently looks like and what you want to change. It will list it all here. So for instance, we added the Google collapsible text. So it shows you that. And then you just hit publish. So since I don't want to make any changes, I'm just going to exit out of that one and show what the actual site looks like. So this is what the site would look like if I shared the link and you clicked on it. This is literally what the site looks like. So it's very basic. It's nothing crazy, but it gets the job done and it's simple and easy to follow. So I had linked the CDC updates regarding the coronavirus with the hyperlink, and it will redirect me to the CDC page. So this is just an idea. This is the assignments page. This is what that looks like. And then with this table of contents here, if you click on whatever section you want to go to, it will just automatically bring you there. And then this is what the image carousel looks like when you flip through it. See what the blog looks like. So since I didn't add anything to the placeholder, it's not going to show anything. I just want to use that as an example. But if I was to wanted to click on my resume, this is what would come up. I had linked the version that you can edit, but if I was to use the version where a viewer can just view it rather than edit it, that would come up there. Calendar, and then you can pop that out. Again, the footer stays the same, so does the header, except every page you can change the title of it, but the background of it you can also change. So actually it doesn't necessarily stay the same, but if you wanted it to, you could make it stay the same. And then lastly is contact. So that's what that looks like. I also wanted to show an example of what a different educator's blog looks like. I had pulled some inspiration from her. So these are just examples, but this is something that, you know, you can network with her. I'm sure she has her contact information up here somewhere, or just gather some ideas from her. Like she has some pictures of her students, you know, contact us. And then I thought it was interesting. Each of her students has a page for them, and it kind of tracks their progress. So again, it's your website. You can create it, add whatever you want, just format it however you would like. So just say, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'm going to open up in a second, but I just so you know, if you ever have any questions or, you know, want any information or need any kind of guidance, you can visit us at the ADP Center. This is our information. You can also go to our website, adpcenter.org.